Good morning, everybody, and welcome. My name is Tanya Spence, and I am People and the Leads Manager at Lambeth Early Action Partnership, or LEAP. I'd like to take a moment to share with you how today's session will run. The presenters or panelists will be the only audio or video interaction throughout the session. No other attendees will be shown or heard. We'll be recording the session so that it will be uploaded onto the website after the session has ended. Throughout the session, you'll be given the opportunity to ask questions. These questions will be kept for the Q&A session at the end of each presentation. These can be accessed during the questions box at the bottom of the webinar sidebar to the right of your screen. Use the orange arrow to hide or show the bar if you're unfamiliar with this platform. Any questions that are not responded to as part of the Q&A session will be responded to via written response and shared after the session has ended. So please, if you at any point during the session today have any questions, please make a note of them. Please do share them, and if we don't get around to responding to the question, we will make sure that we have a follow-up response thereafter. Any materials or resources shared throughout the webinar will be sent via email at the end of the session. There will be polls throughout the session and as part of the presentations, which we strongly encourage you to participate in. They can actually be quite a lot of fun. We'll also share a small survey at the end of the session to help us understand what worked well and how we can improve future sessions. I am really pleased to welcome you all to this session this morning as part of our Winter With Us campaign. The aim of this campaign is to support families through what will be a bleak winter owing to the pandemic. We hope to achieve this through a range of activities: signposting, a dedicated phone line for parent support overseen by LEAP's parent champions, and other communications to help reduce isolation. We are super proud to be working in partnership with both the providers that are supporting the webinar today. The first speaker will be Charlotte Laws from Repowering. The Repowering organisation is focused and will focus today on fuel poverty and the support available for practitioners and the parents they work with. The second speaker will be Sheehan and Helen Wiggins. I think it's just Helen Wiggins actually, we've just had an update, from Healthy Living Platform, who are looking at the effects of food poverty and the work that HLP, Healthy Living Platform, is doing to support families. And it should be noted that fuel and food poverty often go hand in hand. There's significant issues faced by families currently. I'll now hand over to Charlotte Laws from Repowering, an organisation that empowers communities with clean and local energy. So I'm going to hand over to Charlotte now.
Charlotte, are you there?
Yes, I am. I've just come back online. I'm really sorry, my internet just temporarily dropped out. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. And actually, it may be worth just saying there may be some technical issues throughout the presentation today. We will try and rectify these as soon as possible. So please try and be patient with us.
Fab. I've got my lovely colleague Fran online as well. So if I do drop out, hopefully David and Tanya can sort out getting her able to speak. Great. So yeah, a very warm welcome to you. If we go on to the next slide, David. Great. Fab, yeah, so warm welcome. So my name is Charlotte Laws. I'm the Community Support Services Manager at Repowering London. And yeah, there's a few of us on our team. So there's myself, there's Fran, who's on the line as well with us today. and also Ali, who's one of our energy advisors. So we provide a range of kind of support services to people who are struggling with their energy bills in Lambeth, particularly work quite intensively in Brixton. So we do one-to-one support and also training and things like that as well for local organisations. And you'll get our contact details afterwards if you want to signpost people or put referrals and that kind of thing. Great, so on to the next one, David.
Apologies, Charlotte. I think for some reason it's gone to the end of the.
That's okay.
Gone to the end of the presentation. Okay. Right.
Ah, there we go. We're at the beginning. Go slide 2. Lovely job. I think there's duplicate slides at the beginning and end. There we go. Next one.
Okay. Let me just think about this way. Sorry. It's just
No, that's okay.
Up. Okay. There you go.
Yeah, there we go. Next one. Lovely. So yeah, so as I said, we do a whole bunch of stuff around fuel poverty in the borough. And one thing we're just going to do is just see what your kind of understanding is today, where you feel you're at in terms of understanding fuel poverty and its impact on your work. So we're going to have a couple of polls now. So the first one is it's going to be answering them on a scale of 0 to 5. It's not a test. So the first one is how much do I feel I understand how fuel poverty can impact the families that I'm trying to support? They've got strongly agree, agree, neither agree, or disagree and disagree. So I'll give you a moment to fill that out. To see with David and Tanya if you're getting responses in.
Okay, yeah, we are getting some responses in. So 10% strongly agree, 63% agree, 23% neither agree or disagree, and 6% disagree.
Great, yeah, okay, so we've got a mix, which is really normal. Lot of participants on the call today. And the second poll that we've got is I know where to get support for families who are struggling with their energy bills. So again, strongly agree, agree, neither agree or disagree. Again, I'll let Tanya, I'll let you give let us know the results when you've got some in.
Come on, guys, get it in. Okay, so we have 13% approximately agree, 27% neither agree or disagree, 61% disagree.
Great, okay, so 2 things for this presentation. So it's quite a brief one, but yeah, by the end of it, we just really want you to understand, have a bit of a sense of how fuel poverty is relevant to your work and the families that you're supporting. So we're not expecting people to come out being experts. It's a very high level kind of awareness raising exercise. But yeah, hopefully you'll have a sense of why it's important to you in your role. And then secondly, as sort of a minimum, just knowing that you can signpost people to us at Repowering and make a referral. Yeah, as 2 kind of main things we want for you to have by the end of the presentation. Yeah, so going on to the next slide. Lovely. So yeah, just sort of giving just a very brief introduction to fuel poverty. Now, there's some quite sort of official definitions of fuel poverty, like what percentage of people's income and stuff goes on to energy bills and things like that. But I just really want us to be using a just kind of very like sort of quite kind of common sense, straightforward definition. So basically, it's just when people can't afford enough gas and electricity to provide for their basic needs. Oh, I think we've flipped onto the next poll by accident, but that's fine. So we'll get onto that in a tick. But yeah, so fuel poverty, generally we see there as being kind of 3 main contributing factors. One of them is low income. The other one is high energy costs, so the actual cost of the energy itself, kind of per kilowatt hour. And then the third one is energy inefficient homes. So, for example, I was dealing with a case this morning. Someone was trying to get help for her, and actually one of the issues is that the windows in her home are broken. So it doesn't matter even if she has enough money and her costs are low, but it's going to cost. She's just not going to be able to heat her home basically because those windows are broken. Yeah, so we're going to have a couple of just polls now. just to see kind of what people's level of awareness is. So the first one is, how many households in the UK do you think are experiencing fuel poverty? So is it 800,000, 2.2 million, or 4 million? And I'll let you guys fill that out, and then Tanya, when you're ready, you can give the bit of the breakdown.
Yeah. Okay. I'll give a couple more seconds. Okay, so we have 7% of you, 6%, sorry, say 800,000, 48% are saying 2.2 million, and 45% say 4 million.
Yeah, so we've got 4 million of current statistics around it. This is all from National Energy Action. Great, and then the next one. So yeah, we're going on to the next poll for so this is obviously quite a sad one. So roughly how many people do you think die each year as a result of living in a cold home? So this is a real problem that we've got over winter. And so either 4,000, 10,000, or 15,000. Obviously, this is just sort of in a normal year. I don't know quite what the stats will be sort of obviously with COVID and how that would have an impact.
Okay, so some of the results are in. We have a pretty near split actually. 52% of you, so the majority of you think 10,000, 41% think 15,000, and 6% of you think 4,000.
Yep, so majority again, right? So we've got around about 8 to 10,000 depending on the year. And obviously there's a very sort of horrible statistic to have. And then the final poll, how much do you think is spent each year on health services in England on treating illness caused by cold homes? So it's not such the extreme end of how many people are dying, but dealing with illnesses. How much do you think? So you've got 1.6 million, 7.7 million, or 1.3 billion.
Charlotte, I could be your sidekick on the chase. Okay, so you have voted, and most of you, 58% of you think 7.7 million, 26% of you say 1.3 billion, and 18% say 1.6 million.
Yeah, so it's 1.3 billion, which is a lot of money. It's a lot of money, and again, I imagine that it's probably gone up this year, sort of relating to COVID as well and the impacts of that. Great, yeah. So going on to the next slide. Hopefully, this sort of gives you a bit of a flavour of the impact of fuel poverty, kind of across the UK and England. So at the moment, sort of in Repowering, we've got a real focus on what we call self-rationing and self-disconnection. So self-rationing is when a consumer so a person reduces their energy use or spending on other essentials such as food to save money, because otherwise they'd not be able to keep their prepayment meter. So that's the thing you go and top up with a key or a card or a fob, and they couldn't keep it topped up or afford their energy bills. Yeah, so they might still have a bit of supply coming in, but they're not using it as much as they kind of need to. And then self-disconnection is when they actually sort of disconnect. They experience an interruption to their energy supply due to their credit running out. So you might know people who've experienced this already. When they've actually got the lights have gone out, the fridge has gone off, there's no gas on, there's no heat, there's no electricity, potentially either or both of them going into their home. So it's quite a serious thing that we're looking at, and we are, the last few days we've been getting a lot of referrals in about these kind of things. So it's very serious at the moment, it is in general, but we'll be talking about the impact of COVID a bit more. Then going on to the next slide. So there's lots of different kinds of people who will end up self-disconnecting or self-rationing their energy supply. And we're just sort of starting to get you to think about whether or not your families and parents, kids would be at risk. So I won't go into depth into all these characteristics, but just to give you an idea, of course, there's families with children, they'd fall into the kind of leap categories, quite often people who are claiming benefits or people who've got very low income. Those people who might have extra costs as well due to ill health or disability. So it might be that they've got breathing machines that they use or other kind of appliances and stuff at home they need for their health or disability. There's a whole kind of range of people and kind of key risk factors for them. Then going on to the next slide. Yeah, so think about, well, why is it that people might disconnect or self-ration? So obviously earlier on I mentioned the kind of main fuel poverty factors, so low income, high fuel costs and energy inefficient homes. But there are other factors too as well. So they include just practical difficulties in going out and topping up a meter or paying bills. And sometimes these aren't related to income at all. So it might be that someone's got a physical disability that makes it difficult to get to a shop, and they might have caring responsibilities, maybe childcare responsibilities that make it difficult, or perhaps they're suffering with a form of anxiety that makes it very difficult for them to leave their homes. So there's some practical issues as well. Also, people quite often don't know about what their suppliers are obliged to do to help them, particularly if they're in a vulnerable situation. So yeah, they just might not know. We'll talk about this a little bit later on, but there are some new regulations that came in December last year, so very recent, and most people just won't know about them and how to kind of advocate for their own rights. So of course they don't know about sort of calling up the supplier. But they also might just not be able to access, even if they knew about what the supplier is meant to do, they might be able to not be able to follow up on it. So maybe they've ran out of phone credit, maybe they've had a bad experience with their supplier in the past, so they don't feel comfortable calling them. So there can be issues with kind of accessing support from the suppliers. And then they might not know that there's other kind of independent support available for them. So for example, they might not know about Repowering. And if they do know about Repowering, they might not know how to get in contact with us. So that can be quite challenging for people as well. I've definitely spoken to clients where they feel bad about asking for help. So it's difficult for them to kind of stay engaged because they feel a bit of guilt or shame. So there's a whole bunch of other factors about why people might not be getting the help that they need to kind of have enough energy supply. Okay, so then going on to the next one. So I won't go into this in a huge depth, but I just want to kind of really emphasize, and I'm sure you guys are having similar issues, but COVID has had a huge impact on people, on their ability to access support, and yeah, on that support that's available. So a lot of families, as you'll know, have experienced reduced income. They might be on furlough, they might not be lucky enough to be on furlough, they might have had a 0 hours contract, so they've just got no money coming in at all. There's often high bills from staying at home. Fran was pointing out yesterday that, of course, back in spring we had that heat wave, but now we're really going through, you know, a very sort of cold, unpleasant winter. So obviously people's bills will be a lot higher. And what stories I've heard before are that families, you know, people might go to libraries or go to shops to keep warm during the day. But of course, those options aren't available to them now because we all need to be staying at home and a lot of things are shut. So people don't have other options. Again, it's hard to get out to top up. People might be self-isolating. Maybe their local pay point where they would top up their prepayment meter is closed because that person's ill. So yeah, it's harder to get out. There's more impacts on health. Obviously, yeah, there's just a lot of increased anxiety for people as well. It's harder to deal with their financial problems. And there's just more going on at home, as you'll know. So people are also having to look after their kids when normally they'd be at school. Maybe that would be the time when they'd be able to get on the phone to a support organisation or something, or go to a drop-in session. But obviously that's probably much less possible if you've got kids. And again, other things around accessing support. Repowering, people just used to work out Blue Star House, and people just used to be able to walk in and pop upstairs and ask for an appointment if they wanted to. Maybe they'd heard about it from their neighbour. Obviously that's a lot harder now. We're just offering telephone support and online. We're able to do a little bit of kind of help, maybe going and top up for people. But yeah, again, if people have run out of phone credit, they can't get in contact with us. So there's a lot of issues around that. And we do know from anecdotally and from organisations, from citizens' advice, that people are disconnecting sort of during the lockdown. So back in May, Citizens' Advice reported that 47% of prepayment meters respondents to their kind of survey self-disconnected. And I imagine that's much higher now, as I said, because of the winter. Yeah, so we're facing yeah, a really, really difficult situation. So I'm just going to take a few minutes for you guys just to have a little think about how fuel poverty could be affecting the families that you work with and the things that you're trying to improve for them. So just take a moment to sort of think about your role. So you should know what your role is. Maybe you're supporting people through pregnancy. Maybe you're looking at family and child mental and physical health. And maybe you're looking at child learning and development. And I've popped some icons up on the side. So you can see there's like getting hot food, getting hot water from a shower, light bulbs. There's accessing a phone, maybe using a TV or a computer, heating. And I've also got like a little medication bottle. So some people have their medication kept in fridges, or they might have like breathing support machines and stuff like that. So thinking about your role and just choosing one of these icons to start with as a bit of a prompt, have a think about what would be the impact on those families and the things that you're trying to work on with them if that thing wasn't available to them. So, for example, what would be the implications on a mother who's pregnant if she's not able to get warm food in her own home? Or what would be the impact on her if there wasn't any heating? And then, yeah, maybe you're sort of dealing with child development. You might have a think, you know, there's a lot of kind of emphasis on online learning at the moment. I know some TV programs are also putting on lessons for kids as well. What would be the impact of those kids on not being able to get online or not being able to use the TV to be able to access educational programs? So just give you a few minutes. You might just want to have a little think, jot some notes down. We're just really trying to encourage you just to kind of connect up, connect the dots with your role and what you're trying to achieve with families and children, and what the impact is of not having access to these really basic needs. So I'll just give you a couple of minutes. Perhaps have a think of everything you're able to access just with your mobile phone because you can keep it charged up. Anything that those families might need to get hold of, GPs, call you, text you. Okay, so we'll leave it there. I won't sort of take sort of feedback on it, but yeah, just hopefully that's kind of just sparked off some ideas for you about what the effect would be. And that might just be one issue that you looked at, perhaps not having, you know, cookers or appliances to heat food, but you know, there's all these other things. And of course, if the electricity and gas goes off entirely in people's homes, which it does for some people, all of these things they wouldn't have access to anymore. Yeah, so yeah, hopefully you could get a sense of how difficult it is for families. So going on to the next slide now, I just want to talk to you a little bit about what we're doing at Repowering to support people in 2021. So we take referrals in from all sorts of people, young, old, kids, no kids, all that kind of thing. But we've got some funding to specifically target mums who are in LEAP wards, who are at risk of self-disconnection and self-rationing, so basically who don't have enough energy supply. We're looking particularly at those whose health would be impacted severely by this going off. Now, as you can imagine, everyone would be sort of badly impacted by disconnection and self-rationing. We're just going to sort of focus in a little bit on those with health issues. But yeah, we'll still take kind of referrals and signposting and stuff for anyone. And there's a few areas that we're working on to help. So providing one-to-one energy advice. So we've got limited resources on this. We've got about 2.5 days worth of an advisor's time. So that's mainly Fran, to help people access credit functions from their suppliers, get fuel vouchers, deal with that kind of immediate crisis if someone's left without any energy in their home. But also then once people have engaged with us, look at more long-term solutions. So it might be changing the kind of meter that they've got, getting hardship funds for debt, that kind of thing. So once someone's come into our service, we'll kind of address the most immediate needs and then look at long-term things. And then we've also got about £9,000 to pay a group of 10 mums on the London living wage to be involved in basically a bit of review of the services that we offer and how we offer them, so we can kind of tailor it to better meet their needs. So, you know, for example, in the kind of COVID world where we can't meet face to face, We'd just like to know how to better support people if you know, they need to call us on their phone, or you know, work around them having kids, that kind of thing. So yeah, so that's one of the things that we'll be kicking off a little bit later. And yeah, and then we're also going to be doing some more kind of training and support for local organisations such as yourselves, and yeah, sort of offering a bit of a help desk. So I've got a couple of support workers, one from Chips Peace and one from my community Gateway, who've emailed me over the last 24 hours, and they've got a client they're dealing with, and they're just asking a few questions. So sometimes it makes sense for clients to kind of stay with the other people who are supporting them, but we can ask, you know, we can kind of help give some pointers about what to do next. And again, that's partly because we've got limited resources on that one-to-one support, and supporting people who are in crisis is quite time consuming. So we kind of, yeah, we need to sort of have a model where we're supporting other people to do some of that work where they've got time as well. And then on the kind of fourth strand is looking at sort of policy at local and national levels. So it's really important to us that it's not Groundhog Day with issues that are kind of more systemic. And we do look to bring things up with housing providers, with Lambeth Council, and looking at kind of national policy and supply regulations and that kind of thing. So we're looking at the bigger picture as well, because those are the things that really affect people. Yes, those are kind of like 4 areas that we're working around this year. And yeah, as part of that, we'll be putting quite a bit of emphasis on the obligations of energy suppliers to help customers. As I said earlier on, sorry, that's a very loud guinea pig in my room. There's new regulations that came out on the 15th of December to better protect people who are at risk of self-disconnection and self-rationing, particularly those who are on prepayment meters. Suppliers are meant to be doing a lot more proactively now. There's different forms of credit. Suppliers need to be offering affordable repayment plans and that kind of thing. So yeah, we're going to be putting more emphasis on the suppliers. However, we are also aware that kind of linked to COVID as well, well, even before COVID, it's very difficult sometimes to get through to suppliers and get them to do what they're meant to. And COVID's definitely made that harder. We know that people's helplines and stuff have got reduced hours and things like that. So we also still need to remain pragmatic about what support we can get from suppliers, but not take the pressure off them as well. Great, and then we go on to the next one. Yeah, so yeah, a lot of the funding that we've got this for this year is kind of, as I said, looking at working closely with LEAP organisations. And there's a few areas that we'll be kind of looking to get a bit of support on, or just some tips, particularly with working with our kind of target audience of mums in this particular group. I know that there's quite a few LEAP organisations who've done really amazing co-production work already. I know there's amazing Parent Champions network as well, so we're interested in learning from you guys. I also know LEAP's done quite a lot around digital access this year as well, which we'd love to learn from. And another thing that's important to us in delivering kind of training support is just to kind of understand what the needs and opportunities are for doing that. So obviously there are some people where they might just only have time to signpost, whereas other people, for example, some of the Better Start Children's Centres teams, I know there's interest in, you know, how they can integrate more fuel stuff into their one-to-one support that they're giving. So the next poll that we've got on the next slide is kind of looking at that, like how, what kind of categories you guys are all falling into. So I'll let David go on to the next slide, and then we'll pull up this next poll. Yeah, so just having a think about your role and realistically, like what time you do have and the kind of things you do already, maybe for other kind of issues like food and that kind of stuff, benefit support. We're just interested to know, like, with the right kind of guidance and materials, maybe it's a leaflet or a training session, do you feel you could signpost someone, say like give them a leaflet about repowering or things that they can do with their supplier? Do you feel you could make a referral to them, so it's like sending an email to us? Could you provide basic one-to-one support, so maybe helping call a supplier or fill out a form on a website? You might also be able to be interested in becoming an energy champion, so someone maybe in your team who's got a lot more kind of advice, a lot more kind of knowledge and experience about dealing with energy issues. So it might be something you want to explore for kind of professional development if you're interested. And you might also be in a position where you could develop energy champions within your own team and maybe with parents. So maybe it's helping get parents trained up who just want to know a little bit more, and they might be able to go and signpost other people. So yeah, again, there's no right or wrong answer. It's just kind of getting a sense of where what you think you might be able to do, given all the things that you do already. Because we want to be able to kind of do stuff that's kind of realistic and helpful, and not be putting more of a burden on you if you can't do something. So I'll just let you fill out that, and then let Tanya give us some results.
I think we've got the majority of them in. Okay, so I think the bulk of our respondents are saying signposting information and support available, making a referral support. But there are some great numbers. 35% believe that they could provide basic one-to-one support, so help with calling, and then 15% believe that they could actually develop energy champions within their team. So that's great to hear.
Yeah, no, that's really great. So some of the work that we're going to be doing over the next while is to kind of get a sense of how everyone's sort of segmented. We'll be doing that sort of probably quite sort of structured way with LEAP. And then we'll start working out what we can do for different organisations. One of the things we are going to do quite soon that we're already working on is just getting out a very short sort of leaflet about what to do if someone is in a bit of a crisis. Call your supplier, try and get a fuel voucher, that kind of thing. Very, very simple, and we're working on that over the next week, because we are getting more and more people telling us that they've got people who are coming off supply and families who are really in destitution. So we wanted to be able to get something out quite quick about that, we'll be sending that around too. But then we'll be kind of letting you guys know what our kind of like programme of training is for the rest of the year. Lovely, that's really exciting to hear. Yeah. And we can go on to the final slide. Trying to remember what we've got. Yeah, so and this will get sent to you as well. So if you're up for signposting and making a referral, you can use this. So you can call us, ideally email us, because it's just a little bit easier to manage if it's coming through email. At some point we will get an online referral form, but for now just ping us an email to communitysupport@repowering.org.uk. I work 4 days a week across 5 at the moment, so I'm available Monday to Friday, so I will pick up your email if you've got a family to refer to us, or maybe you're supporting someone directly but you've got a few questions. I can ping you back a response, maybe get a bit more information from you so we can help better. And we are just really mindful of the moment about kind of caseload and what we can do. So if for any reason we can't support someone, then we can signpost to another organisation that we really trust who should be able to help more quickly. So we'll just kind of keep you updated about what to expect in terms of our response time, in terms of getting an appointment with an advisor or stuff. But I'm answering those emails very very quickly at the moment, so you'll at least get a response from me quite soon. Great, well I hope that was helpful. Fran, when we did presentations last year, Fran was all over putting polar bears up, so I'm enjoying that we can get them. I hope that was helpful, and looking forward to kind of meeting more of you this year and getting more materials out to you, and seeing how we can support you in what you're trying to achieve with your families.
We love a polar bear here, Charlotte. Okay, so I think it's time. Thanks for the presentation, Charlotte. That was excellent. For your questions, so this is probably the most interactive part of the session, but it'd be really great to hear from you if you have any questions for Charlotte. So I'll just wait, see if anyone has questions. I'm going to ask a question in the meantime. Charlotte, a bit of a cheeky one. Do you anticipate changes to the benefits and welfare, payments, so the decrease as a result of COVID impacting on levels of fuel poverty? Do you anticipate there being an issue?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think families are already really squeezed, and it's been quite a long time now as well. So I imagine people's debt might have started to accumulate a lot more than it did before too. So I really think it will. We are sort of quite concerned about that too. The other thing that we're concerned about as well is that there is going to be a review of the Warm Homes discount this year, and there are some hints that some of the eligibility criteria might change. The intention is to kind of target people who are most in need, because quite often people who are accessing it aren't necessarily in fuel poverty. But we're concerned that unintentionally there might be some exclusions for people who do really need it. So we're going to be working with National Energy Action just to kind of feed up any evidence we've got of that, because that would hit people really badly, because that's like £140, you know, over the winter period.
So I have a question from Lynn Pitts. The question is, can families self-refer?
Yeah, they can. Yeah. So Helen, who's going to be the next panelist, she's actually asked me to send out a poster that they can stick in their newsletter. So what I'll do is I'll give that to David and Tanya to send out to everyone. And yeah, so families can self-refer using that email address, or they can call. The team is also using WhatsApp. So we haven't got like a business one. We've got our own kind of like work phone. So if someone else was able to refer for them and give their WhatsApp number, then we can, because I just know that some people can't necessarily call us. If you don't have any credit, you can't call us. If you don't have access to internet, you can't email us. So yeah, that in that case, getting referred, and then we can get in contact with them. But yeah, we'll take self-referrals.
Brilliant, that's fantastic to hear. I guess one more question would be, you know, and maybe this is an obvious one, but how do you, and maybe this is covered in the training that you give, but how do you broker conversations with families and try and understand if, you know, they are experiencing fuel poverty?
Yeah, I think generally because people need to get in contact with us, they're already sort of up for having that conversation. So, but I think there are definitely some things to look out for when, you know, when say it was someone, you know, who's talking to a family for a different reason. Maybe it's like, you know, they're doing a health visit with an infant or something like that. So there's some really good training that National Energy Action does that we'll look to be offering, I think, in partnership, that kind of goes into like things that you can spot, and just maybe questions that you can just ask, you know, just kind of like gently, like, oh, you know, like, you know, how you know, if you, I don't know, if you just notice that they're just only eating cold food at the moment, you could sort of just ask like, oh, you're sort of struggling to, you know, cook a warm meal at the moment. I think there's kind of like different ways of doing it, but yeah, that kind of training would go into it a bit more. Whereas I said, because people need to get referred into us, there's already that kind of thing of people know they need help and are willing to ask for it. But I think just using your kind of like empathy and social skills if you've got a concern. I mean, we do the opposite sometimes, which is that we're interested in just identifying if there are broader issues affecting their energy issues, like housing. Like I said, if someone's windows are broken. So we just normally just have a bit of a chat. So we have kind of areas that we try and get information on, but we don't like have a like form that we just go through with people and tick boxes with. We'll have a conversation, you know, to say like, oh, how's it going? And, you know, how's it with the house? You've got any issues with that? And quite often people will tell us other issues. Monday was a really good example. I was talking to a lady about her energy, but I just asked her generally how her health was, and it turns out that actually she'd spoken to her GP that morning, and they told her that she needed to go to A&E because she's got a chest infection. So what I thought was calling her up to talk about a Warms Home discount ended up me calling an ambulance for her. So I think it just sort of shows it's important, yeah, not to be kind of rigid in the conversations you're having with people. We're concerned about people's general well-being as well. I've got a background in housing, so I'm sort of keen to spot other issues so that if people do have something that they need to focus on first, actually they go and deal with that. So it might be that actually their house, I'm dealing with sort of supporting someone at the moment with a lady who's in kind of destitution, and actually she just needs to get moved from her house because it's unsafe. So we'll talk about energy later on, but I've just given her some pointers about what to do next for dealing with, you know, getting moved out of the house. So I think that helps that we've got someone in the team who can do that, or we would, you know, refer people on to other organisations for that support. So yeah, I think informal conversations and looking at the issue in around, I think, is really important. Brilliant.
Well, thank you, Charlotte. I think it really highlights the needs and the importance of close partnership working. What a brilliant work that you do, and thank you for sharing what you do with us and giving us some guidance around how we can support the families that we're working with.
Yeah, Fab, yeah. And also it's just really important for people to go away that like really no one should be coming off of their energy supply. There's plenty that can be done. It's a challenging environment to get the situation sorted, but at minimum people should know that they shouldn't be sat in like dark, cold homes. So yeah, I hope that is helpful for people, and look forward to kind of meeting more of you this year.
For sure, definitely. Brilliant. Okay, so thank you, Charlotte. That was Repowering. We now will
Sorry, Tanya, you've gone silent. So
hi, sorry, apologies. I've just made that silly mistake. I'm not unmuting myself. Yes, thank you, Charlotte from Repowering. We're going to hand over now to Helen Wiggins, who is from the Healthy Living platform, and she is now talking about food poverty.
Thank you, Tanya. Can everybody hear me? Just a quick sound check.
I can hear you. That's a good signal.
That's great. Thank you for having me today. Thank you, Charlotte, for that presentation. It was really interesting to learn about the brilliant work that you're doing, and I know that we've collaborated before in the past, and I look forward to working with you more on supporting families in our communities. I would like to talk a little bit about what this presentation is going to be about. So I hope to give you all some background on what we do at Healthy Living platform and in collaboration with LEAP, some stats and information on food and food poverty and the communities that we are with at the moment, share some real stories from real people who are experiencing these stats and are experiencing this in their everyday lives, and some information at the end on what we are doing with families and how you can refer families to us, or how families can refer themselves. So if I could have the next slide, please. So we're going to have a poll to kick things off. So we always knew that food poverty was a problem, but obviously COVID, I'm sure you all know, has exacerbated that issue. What do we think nationally is the percentage of households with children who report being food insecure, having food insecurity? Is it 8%, 11%, or 14%? Let's wait for the answers to come in.
Okay, we're nearly there in terms of votes. 89% of you have voted. A few of you left to vote. Okay. Right, I'm going to read off. We've got 92%. Right, I'm going to read off the responses. So 79% say 14% and 21% say 11%.
That's really interesting. So the majority of you were right. It's now nationally 14% of households with children reporting feeling food insecure, and that's compared with 11.5% before COVID. So I'm sure that's no surprise to you all that COVID has made food poverty worse. Can I have the next poll? What percentage do we think of BAME households with children are reporting food insecurity? Is it 12%, 16%, or 20%?
Okay, votes are nearly all in. Majority are saying 20%, 39% are saying 16%, and 3% of you are calling it at 12%.
Okay, if we could have a look. I think it's actually the next one. Yeah, so the Food Foundation did a survey, and they found that food insecurity was higher in BAME households at 16%. There could be, well, we know there are a range of factors that that may be affecting that, but the Trussell Trust has, who are one of the main food bank operators in the UK, have said that families from BAME backgrounds are more likely to experience poverty and food insecurity. Generally, that has only been made worse or impacted more by COVID-19, and it's further disproportionately affecting families from those groups. We also see, I think this point just in the middle, that there are areas of high deprivation in the LEAP wards. We know this from the LEAP data that we have, but unfortunately there's no local data available at the moment regarding food insecurity and poverty in these areas. It's not routinely measured, but we hope we'll have some data on that soon. Food insecurity, the UK itself reports having some of the highest rates of food insecurity, despite being one of the richest countries in the world. So that's quite a worrying statistic in itself. So what do we mean by food insecurity? This is compiled from a Google definition. Food insecurity is being unable to reliably access a sufficient quantity of affordable, nutritious food, and that's on a regular basis. We see this a lot in the families that we are working with and the communities that we are involved with at Healthy Living Platform. There are things that people report generally when feeling food insecure: reduced portion size, so that's not having enough food on your plate to feel satisfied and to feel that you're not going to be going hungry for the rest of the day, and also missing meals as well, or just reducing your intake to 1 meal a day. We've actually seen this with families that we work with who've come to our community lunches and have said, we've heard them saying to their children, "Oh, eat up a lot because this is the meal for today. There won't be much when we get home." Families feeling hungry, people feeling hungry on a daily basis, going to bed hungry, and managing on poor and cheap food sources. So that could be takeaways. It's often easier to feed your family at a local takeaway, where the cost of chicken and chips is £2 for your whole family, as opposed to going to a healthy fruit and veg market. Tin food, a lot of people rely on tin food as their main food supply, or junk food. Finding that we often find in the aisles of supermarkets that junk food is continually on offer, and then nice fruit and vegetables that we all would rather eat, hopefully, are much more expensive. Can I have the next slide, please? So this is another poll. Why are people food insecure? What are the primary reasons, according to the Trussell Trust, that people do not have food? Why are people saying that they do not have food? Is it ill health, lack of informal support, benefit delays, or the cost of food?
Okay, we have majority of you thinking, so 53%, that this is as a result of cost of food, 44% suggesting it's benefit delays, and 3% lack of informal support.
Well, that's interesting. It's quite a low number for benefit delays. Could we see the answer? So according to the Trussell Trust, they're one of the main food bank operators across the UK. The main reasons for people not having food are actually three. It's like a range of reasons. Benefit delays, challenging life experiences such as domestic violence, relationship breakdown, mental health, or sudden unemployment. We've seen this, I'm sure you've all seen in your practices with families. This has grown since COVID. Ill health, again, COVID now is one of the main contributors to people experiencing ill health or long-term ill health, and lack of informal support. So that could be a community that you're part of, your family network that you live with or you're close by to, and stay in play groups maybe that you attend regularly, and just friends as well. So people living alone are repeatedly reported to be more likely to be food insecure, as well as single parents as well. In our work with families, we found that it is much more complex than that. It's a lack of headspace as well. When you have these various stresses, such as your benefits being delayed, your universal credit is taking a long time to come through, you are experiencing ill health, you don't have your support network around you, and you are looking after your children. The stress of that can actually make it really difficult for you to make healthy decisions, such as going to a healthy market, or choosing fruit and vegetables over junk food, prioritizing going to the local park to run around with your children. And there is, Sustain has found that there's a direct link between low income areas and what's called an unhealthy environment. So lack of access to healthy food shops, and a large proportion of takeaways in the area, fewer green spaces, and generally often parents not wanting to go out, families not wanting to go out into those green spaces, perhaps because they feel unsafe as well. And that's another thing that I would add there. Could we have the next slide, please? So there are lots of effects on early child development and health. Our next poll, how many children in Lambeth do you think are obese or overweight at school entry? Is it 15%, 20% or 25%?
Okay, majority have voted, and we have 59% saying 20%, 28% saying 25%, and 12% of you saying 15%.
Okay, you were nearly there. It's 25%. It's 1 in 4 children entering school overweight or obese, and that's consistent with the LEAP data as well. There are other impacts and effects on early childhood development. So birth weight. Many children who are born into families experiencing food poverty are born underweight or sometimes overweight as well. Children and families are not getting their 5 a day, or indeed 10, 5 fruit and vegetables a day. And I think now the recommendation is to eat 10 fruit and vegetables, 10 portions of fruit and vegetables a day. We know that children and families are not getting that through surveys that we have done. More than 1 million UK residents are living in food deserts. There's no official definition for food deserts, but they are generally classified as areas that have low proportion of healthy food choices that are close to where people live. So let's say an unhealthy takeaway will be in your street, but you have to travel for an amount of time to get to a supermarket where you can access all of the healthy food choices that meet your needs. Parents are skipping meals to feed their children. I'm sure we've all seen news headlines around that. Again, free school meals and holiday hunger. So we know, again, with recent news headlines and campaigns by people such as Marcus Rashford, that families who are receiving free school meals are often not getting provided with sufficient food and enough healthy choices to meet their needs. And childhood obesity. So there's a lot of evidence that suggests that as a child, as a very young child in your early years, if you are obese or overweight, then you're more likely to be obese or overweight as you grow up, as a child, as a teenager, and then later as an adult. Could we have the next slide, please? So child poverty, food poverty, actually that should say that, I think there's a mistype, apologies. So food poverty in our families and child poverty, we know that they do go hand in hand. We've seen a lot of the impact of universal credit delays on parents and families receiving universal credit or other benefits that have increased uptake of our services and have increased a need for fruit and vegetable bags or food parcels that we provide. These are some case studies. These are real stories, but I would like to say that they have been amalgamated, so they've been sort of chopped up a little bit, so that and a few details changed, so that we're not focusing too much on one person's story. But there's just a few case studies there for you to have a look at. These are real stories from families that we are working with. What we're seeing a lot of, particularly parent A, are families sort of bouncing back. So one sort of going up and down almost in their capacity to provide healthy food for themselves. So very often parents will refer themselves to receive food parcels or vegetable bags from us. They will contact us to let us know that they'll receive them for a month or so, then they'll contact us to let us know that they're okay and they're receiving their universal credit, or they've got a job for a couple of months, and then due to a change of circumstances again and being placed in a situation where they have low income again, they are coming back to us and asking to receive the food parcels or vegetable bags again. As I say, parent B, ill health can really impact on your ability to make decisions around food choices, and can increase your levels of stress. It can also affect your children, and if you're not having enough to eat as well, or not the healthy food that you want, then those issues are going to be even more exacerbated. And then parents with parent C, recently separated, as I say, single parent families are more likely to be living in food poverty, or to be experiencing a lack of being able to access healthy food choices. Could we have the next slide, please? So these were some statistics that were taken from our database of families that we work with. We were seeing that we had about an average of 3 or more people living in a household where we were providing food parcels or vegetable bags. But we have seen, we're yet to really collect full and accurate data on this, but we have seen a real increase in families requesting hot food from a Healthy Living Kitchen, who have 5, 6, sometimes even 7 people in a household. So that is something to consider, that the number of people in a family can really add to the stress that a parent might be experiencing. You can ration your food for yourself. If you're living alone, you can say, right, I've got this much food to last me until Saturday. I know I'm only going to eat half a tomato for my dinner and then half a tin of beans for my lunch. But when you've got, you know, 5 children and 5, you know, 5 other hungry mouths to feed, planning your food for a week with a very limited budget, or with, you know, relying on food that's coming from food banks or other sources that may be sporadic, can be really challenging and really increase people's feelings of stress. Just thinking about a call that I received from a parent 2 days before Christmas, who had a parent who'd recently been separated from her husband, and found herself in temporary accommodation with 6 children and no food for the Christmas period. So we did organise for her to receive an emergency food parcel to keep her going over the her and her family going over the Christmas holidays. But that's you know, a real example of that emergency stressful situation that she found herself in. So we have what are we doing then? So I talked a little bit about the stats and some of the stories that we're seeing. What are Healthy Living platform doing in collaboration with LEAP to work with families to improve the situation? So one of the key things that we promote in our services and with our cohort of families, particularly our cohort of new baby families, are the Healthy Start vouchers. I'm sure most practitioners listening to this will be aware of the Healthy Start vouchers, and which are offered by the government. They give, can we go back to the slide? Can we go back to the slide?
Oh, sorry, Helen. Once I trigger the poll, it has to stay. Sorry, okay. I can't do it again. Apologies. So
no problem. So I mean, these are Healthy Start vouchers. You can families can apply to receive these vouchers that up to a value of £6.20 per week, and they can be spent on milk, fresh, frozen and tinned fruit and vegetables, pulses, infant formula, as well as free vitamins for pregnant women and children under 4. So what do we think in this area? What is the take-up rate for families accessing the Healthy Start vouchers? So how, you know, what percentage of families are accessing these Healthy Start vouchers? Is it 45%, 55% or 65%?
Excellent. I think everybody's voted. Okay, so 50% of you, the majority, say 45%, 34%, it's just changed slightly, 55%, and 17% say 65%. So the majority say 49%, 45%, sorry.
Well, okay, brilliant. So if we could see the next point on the slide. The take-up rates in Lambeth are approximately 55% of families. This was data from March 2019. So that's 1,476 families taking up the offer out of a possible 2,702 families. So there's a lot of work to be done. We signpost families to these vouchers on our website, in our newsletter, via texts, through the work that we do with with families who are receiving hot food from us. And it's kind of important to remember to see that there is an eligibility criteria for Healthy Start vouchers. So not everybody can get them. They are for families who are receiving a range of benefits, including income support, job seekers allowance, child tax credits, and there's also a cap. It needs to be, it's families who are earning £408 per month, I think that is. I'll double check that. So you know, there are some criteria that families need to be part of in order to access these vouchers. It's worth probably noting that at Healthy Living platform, we don't ask for any eligibility criteria of families who are calling us saying that they need food support. We don't ask any of these questions. We remove these barriers completely. So if you have a family who does need food support, does want to access our fruit and vegetable bags or food parcels, then you don't need to worry about whether they're on universal credit or whether they earn a certain income. We won't be asking those questions of families. And there's just a very nice story I'd like to mention about a mother who's part of our new baby programme. We helped her, we printed off a form for her because she had English as a second language and needed some support with filling in the form. We helped her to fill in the Healthy Start Vouchers application form, helped us to send it off. And then we, she received those vouchers, and after we'd seen her at a children's centre session that we were part of, she said, oh, after this I'm going shopping, sort of holding the vouchers in her hand. So you could really directly see the autonomy and confidence this was giving her in being able to go to the shops and choose healthy food for her and her baby. Can we have the next slide, please? So I hope that most of you are aware that at Healthy Living Platform, we support families by providing fruit and vegetable bags. And since the beginning of COVID, we have supplemented these to make them into food parcels. So as well as fresh fruit and vegetables, we provide a range of ambient food like pasta, rice, milk, eggs, dairy products, tins of pulses, vegetables, all sorts of, it's all vegetables. Our big message is eating more vegetables, and that you can get a range of nutrients from what we have in our parcels. There's some statistics here on the number of vegetable bags that have been distributed, 4,618, and 388 families who are receiving the bags. That figure could be much higher, we hope. We're just with COVID, it has been sometimes difficult to collect all of the data that we need, but these are most accurate reflections at the moment. So assuming that one bag costs around £5, the equivalent cost, then timesing that by the number of vegetable bags distributed, we see a total saving there for local families of £23,000. We think that they're worth more than that, at least £8, if not more, depending on the food supply that we have, and suffice to say that it's always really good. Can we have the next slide, please? Cooking and eating sessions. Prior to COVID, we ran weekly cooking sessions every day of the week at various children's centres and community centres. We can't wait to get back to doing these again once it's safe to do so. We counted at the peak of this over 120 people a week eating together, families coming together to eat healthy meals and to cook together as well. Can I have the next slide? Our Food Ambassadors programme. So this is a training programme that we have provided over several years that we have been in operation. We've trained upwards of 20 volunteers. It is an opportunity for parents or anybody in the local community to learn healthy cooking skills, how to cook in a community setting, how to cook in a kitchen setting, gain their food hygiene certificate, level 2, and learn more about cooking healthy meals for their families, taking the knowledge out into their community. And many of our food ambassadors have moved into working with us in our Healthy Living kitchen, producing our hot food, and starting up their own businesses. One of our food ambassadors has recently come back to tell us about this. So it's a really valuable training course, and we hope to launch another one towards the end of this quarter. We've calculated that the number of volunteering, sorry, go back to the other slide, or thank you. We recently, the number of hours per week that we think this gives us in terms of volunteering opportunities up to 150, and our cook-along sessions, which some of you may have joined, have been supported by our food ambassadors. So because we can't cook and eat together anymore, we've been doing online cooking sessions that have been mainly our food ambassadors cooking a variety of dishes. And we do also employ our food ambassadors in our Southwick kitchen, which produces the hot food that we deliver to our families. Can I have the next slide? So these are our cook-alongs, which we have been doing online since COVID. These are co-produced, as I said, with our food ambassadors and with our parents. So you can see just an example on the left there of one that we did with one of our food ambassadors and LEAP parent champions for Black History Month. With these cook-alongs, we cook live with families attending on Zoom, but we also produce recipe packs that can be sent out in advance. So this makes it much easier for families who are on low incomes to join in. They don't need to go out and spend lots of money on all the ingredients. And it also just removes a bit of that having to make headspace, let's say, for doing that before you join the session. We've got an average of 10 to 15 recipe packs per session. And we also cook along in collaboration with other LEAP services. So the Tools Hill Family Engagement team, we supported them to deliver the Big Little Soup before Christmas, where they were cooking online, and then 120 portions of soup were served afterwards to local families, local LEAP families, and the local community. And you can just see a quote there from one of our parents about the recipe packs that we produce. Can I have the next slide, please? Mini chefs. This is one of my favourite activities that we do. This is an online video that is released on our YouTube channel. And you can check this out on our website as well, the recipes and the videos that we've produced in collaboration. We send out recipe packs as well, and these are sessions that are directly aimed at parents with LEAP-aged children. It's making it much easier for families to cook together, being given the ease of receiving the recipe packs, but also learning something through the sessions about making healthier choices in the cooking that you do with your young children. Could I have the next slide? Our postnatal food officers. So this is our new baby programme, which I've been talking about probably quite a lot during this presentation. We're really proud of it, and it's been a collaboration with various colleagues at LEAP and the midwifery team as well, and the health visitors as well. We've had a lot of support, certainly in referring new parents, mainly new mums, to this service. What we do is provide a hot meal at least once a week to mothers with newborn babies and their families, and this is across Lambeth. It's not just in the LEAP wards, so that's worth remembering if you would like to refer any parents with newborns, new babies to that service. We're also doing Zoom catch-up sessions. We've created a really lovely group of the mothers and fathers who join these sessions, and we're also picking up on quite a lot that is actually being missed through working with families and delivering this hot food. We're having regular contact, and so we're picking up on lots of things that might be missed maybe by health visitors if they're perhaps not able to spend much time in houses due to COVID. And you can see some statistics there at sort of very, very up to date about the number of women or families that we have registered and the number of meals that we've delivered. And it's worth mentioning as well that we've been able to support 10 Spanish-speaking women as a result of this service because of the language skills that we have in the team, and again, picking up on perhaps some of those things that are being missed. Okay, can we have the next slide? I'm conscious of time. So there's just some quotes there, some feedback from our families about what we're doing. I'll just give you a moment to read those. And I'm just conscious of time, so we'll probably want to move on to the next slide. So co-production, this is something that we think we do really well, and is defined a Google definition of co-production: when an individual influences the support and services received, or when groups of people get together to influence the way services are designed, commissioned and delivered. So what we do is we listen to the communities and families that we work with, and we work with them to create the ideas and to create the services. There's a lot of evidence in the LEAP evidence review about why this is so important in community engagement, and there's also a link there to a report by Sustain about empowering people living in food poverty. This is called Food Power, and this was written and produced by a person who had this lived experience and wanted to create a guide really on co-production. So we can certainly publish the links to that and follow up to this. Some examples of this that were very successful would be our Black History Month cook-alongs that we launched in October, where we held a series of 3 or 4 Zoom discussions with our parents, with our colleagues and with key figures in the community to really make sure that we were designing sessions that were a collaboration and were what the people we were working with really wanted to see. Should we have the next slide? We have been, since the very beginning of the first lockdown, very proudly involved in running a surplus food hub in Brixton, in central Brixton. This initially was getting out food parcels to people across Lambeth who were finding themselves in need, isolating, or without sufficient food due to a low income suddenly because of COVID. Now we're looking at bringing this back into the heart of our communities and working with over 35 charities now to get this food out from this central food hub to their community hubs. We believe that community hubs such as children's centres, churches, community centres are best placed to know where the need is most, and to be able to work with the local communities to get food out to people, and to ensure that people are able to make better choices and their own choices as well. We have a contract with Lambeth Council to run this food hub over the next year. And we know that there's tons and tons of surplus food that is getting wasted every day. So we are tapping into that with various collaborations with City Harvest, Fair Share, and even Hovis. We get 500 loaves from Hovis bread company every week to distribute out. Can I have the next slide, please? Our Southwick hub, which is at Southwick House, which is on the Moorlands and Southwick Estate, we are running a model food hub. This is something that we are really proud to be running in collaboration with the local community. It's a really great model of co-production. This is one of our food parcel distribution hubs. So that's worth remembering for anyone who wants to signpost families to us, that we have a central food distribution hub that is in the community that we oversee. We're looking at potentially Meals on Wheels service to support local residents, Pantry and a digital pantry. So at the moment, because of the heavy lockdown restrictions, we're running a community shop online on a Friday in collaboration with the local community. We've got 25 local people involved in the planning of that and interested in volunteering with that. It's digital at the moment, and we're not able to let people come into the building, but we hope that will become more of a community cooperative and a community shop, going out of into better times, let's say, and into the summer, out of the lockdown restrictions. And we have a link with growing food as well. We have a link to a local community garden as well on the Southwick estate. Could I have the next slide? So this is just very quickly an example. This is our food policy. These are how we what we base our community meals on at Healthy Living platform, and this is something that we have used across our sessions, our cook and eat sessions. It forms the basis of our food parcels, our vegetable bags. Our big message, I won't read it all out, but our big message is eat more vegetables. All of our meals are vegetable based. We use plant-based proteins, and we really want to get across the message to our families that eating more vegetables is really beneficial, and so that's why we focus our big thing is fruit and vegetable bags, and now food parcels, but we're still keeping that focus on the majority being fruit and vegetables. Just give you a moment to read that. And yeah, I think we can go to the next slide just because I'm a bit conscious I'm running out of time. So just the most important thing, signposting families to us. Families, you can refer families, or families can self-refer themselves. Please do give out my number. I'm Helen. My number is there. Or you can email info@healthylivingplatform.org. We can deliver food parcels on Mondays and Fridays. These are community hubs that we directly oversee, and actually further out now we've just started up a new community hub in the Streatham area, so that's on Wednesdays as well. And we can also do cooked meals from our Southwick kitchen. We also can link up families to the local Leak Children's Centres, who are also working with us to provide food parcels. If you're working with any mothers or fathers, I would say, who have newborns, who have recently given birth, please refer them directly on our website. Families can register themselves in the new baby section on our website, or you can just give me a call or email through, and we can make sure that they are provided with a hot meal at least once a week. And there's lots of other sort of benefits to being part of that programme as well. We can deliver nappies, baby equipment. We've had lots of donations of baby clothes as well. But again, we'll work with the families to find out what they would like, and how we can work together. Another big part of our programme is to become a member with us. So, we don't just do food, we do lots of brilliant activities online around healthy living. We do our cook-alongs, we do Zumba, we do yoga. We're going to have lots of activities around gardening. We'll be producing some nature packs in collaboration with natural thinkers as well. And all of these benefits are accessible via our newsletter. So you can refer families to our website, to the subscribe page, and they can sign up there to receive our newsletter, and they'll get a weekly email telling them all of the activities that are happening in there, online at the moment, but hopefully when things get a little bit easier, we'll be able to go back to doing some face-to-face sessions as well. So I hope that was a useful presentation and informative, and I look forward to working with more of you in the future on supporting families who may be experiencing food poverty. Please do get in touch. Thank you.
That was brilliant, Helen. So you don't do much then. Right, we do have a few questions for you. Yeah, so Angela Russell's just asked, would you be able to share the recipe so we can send them to our families we're working with?
Yes, we have a section on our website which is all of our recipes that we try as much as possible to put our recipes that we cook in our Southwick kitchen, the recipes that we deliver in our hot meals, the recipes that we cook at our cook and eat sessions. I will definitely feed that back that there's a demand for recipes. A lot of the families on our new baby programme have also been asking this. So please do check out our website. All of the recipes, as much as possible, we post on there, and we also include a recipe of the week in our newsletter as well. So please do sign up to the newsletter. We can also do sessions as well. So if you'd like to collaborate on delivering a session online, we can do that. And so, you know, we could do a cook along together. We're going to do a cook along session with the Henry Diet and Nutrition team next week around eating well after having your baby. And we're going to do a 30-minute cook along, and then after some input from Henry on that topic. So I hope that answers your question, Angela.
Brilliant. Emily asks, really useful, thanks Helen. Please can you explain in brief how the digital pantry works? I can't quite imagine.
That is actually my colleague Penny, who is working on developing this. We have she is working on the sort of wider outreach on the Southwick and Moorlands estate to develop this concept. So at the moment, it started off as 2 pilot sessions in December as a sort of a community shop. So families can come and choose 20 items for £5. It's some really lovely stuff, I have to say. It's a mixture of some surplus, but also we bought in some really nice fruit and vegetables, tins, ambient food, etc., from local wholesalers and supermarkets. And as I say, people can come and choose, so it gives a lot of autonomy over that choice. At the moment, we're calling it a digital pantry because of the COVID restrictions. So there will be a way for families who are local to the area and local people to make their order online. They'll get a menu for what's available that week at the pantry, at the community shop, and they will choose what they would like, and then we will deliver this. Obviously this is due to COVID. We want to be able to do this live and face to face. We want more of our local community involved, but we acknowledge that some people may be shielding or maybe vulnerable at this time. But we can still involve local families in this. Anybody who would like to be involved in, we run regular Zoom sessions, we ask for feedback. There's been a lot of good comments on from local people about the choice that we've provided, and the fact that at some food banks that people visit, they are almost judged by their appearance or by their cultural background. So one parent commented on, one local resident commented on how she went with a friend. She's white British and her friend is black British, and they went together, and he was given yams and sort of like kind of Caribbean food, and she was given cottage cheese and white bread at a food bank, and they were offered no option to choose what they actually wanted to take away. So she really enjoyed the element of choice and the fact that she was being invited to make decisions about the development of the pantry. We'd also like to include recipes as well, and recipe packs discussions online about what can be included in the pantry, what are recipes of the week, digital cook-alongs, etc. So I'd be happy to signpost anybody to that. There is information on our website. Check out our Instagram as well. Do please get in touch if you'd like to learn more. I can also pass you to Penny, my colleague, who is developing this this concept. But yeah, it's very exciting.
Oh, amazing, Helen. Fantastic. And there's lots of praise for you and Charlotte on the feedback from those who've attended today. So I guess right now we're all probably really hungry. So that brings us to the end of the presentations today on food and fuel poverty. Just a big thank you to Charlotte and to Helen for joining us and providing this information, which hopefully will enable you to do more work with those that you're serving. As just a reminder, any materials and resources that you've seen today will be sent to everybody via email, and there'll be a short survey that we ask, if possible, you can complete, just to give some feedback on what you've liked and ways you think we can improve. But on that note, just thank you everybody for participating, and we look forward to seeing you at the next webinar.